Hi everyone, how's it going? So, I'm kind of fleshing out some of the stories that I made videos of this past year um, into like larger, complete stories. So, I've posted fewer of these like little individual one offs or world building videos than I was doing for a minute there. But that's because I'm doing some bigger work and seeing where that leads me. But I've been doing this kind of like storytelling where it's just little pieces of verbal story for a long time. I used to do it with a good friend of mine, and we'd both have separate like base story ideas and we'd bounce ideas off of each other. I think that she still writes privately. I really hope that she does something with that someday because I think that she's got a lot of good stories. Her and I kind of veered in different directions where I think that a lot of her stories tend to go a little bit softer and friendlier. And mine were definitely a little harder and meaner, and there's more of like a horror element to it. Even the ones that have like a potentially happy ending. So we used to bounce ideas off each other, and we used to like work together to create more balanced stories. And you know, when our like friendship inevitably grew apart for no reason other than our lives just became different. I still love her dearly. I still consider her like one of my great loves. We kind of went our separate ways with life, and I moved away, and so like this storytelling thing kind of stopped being a thing that I did out loud and became just in my head or in paintings and sketches, or I'd tell my husband about it and be like, "Hey, like I had this idea." I'd be like, "That's cool. You should write it down." I can't write anything down. I can't write anything down, guys. I'm really bad at writing stuff down and then continuing it. But you know what? I can do? I can talk. I can talk all day long, which I'm sure is not something my husband enjoys, but he definitely tolerates with a smile. But that being said, I figured out that the bouncing the stories off of each other, something that my friend and I used to do, was something that I could do with the internet. So now when I have ideas or I work on new paintings and sketches and I have thoughts, I can say them to you guys, and then you guys tell me what you think. Way less so on YouTube here, where this video will be posted. You guys don't comment as much, but man, people love to comment on Instagram, and I really enjoy the dialogue. I enjoy the back and forth. I really like it when people are like, "Hey, this reminds me of this story." Because one, I love a good book, movie, story, lore recommendation. I love to learn new stuff. I love to hear new facts. I have lots of those like creature encyclopedias. Love stuff like that. And I love when people are like, "Hey, what if this?" Because it reminds me of that same back and forth dialogue that I had with my buddy over a decade ago. And I miss it. And I really appreciate that that's something that I can do now with lots of people. Now, the point of this painting kind of reminds me of her. She was a walking sunshine cupcake, and also a little bit terrifying. And from the second I sketched this out, I'm not, I don't know if it's obvious, I'm not overly girly. I'm not super flowery, princessy at all. And she is. I'm saying it like she has passed. She is not. She is alive and well. She is a walking ray of sunshine all the time. She's smiley and she's friendly, but she's also terrifying and creepy. But those are her inside feelings that she, doesn't necessarily share widely. And I kind of struggled to get through this painting because I was thinking a lot about her, and I was struggling to maintain the spirit of it, which is like pretty princess, girly girl. And don't get it mistaken, I love some fashion. I love some couture. I love sparkles and glitter, but I wouldn't say that I'm princessy, nor is most of my art princessy, though there are a lot of mermaids. I don't know. Anyway, it felt very princessy to me, and I was struggling, and I wanted to keep the spirit of like a ray of sunshine that will also ruin your day and giggle about it. So that's kind of what I was going for, just because that's what was on my mind. And to build it in to our story, I kind of imagine that something like fairies and elves, magical creatures, had eons of knowledge, being beings born of magic, essentially, rather than just people who can wield it. Like, the way I think of humans and magical creatures is like humans can wield magic and the creatures are born of it. And so, like, there's a difference, and they're both supposed to work together. It's like an interwoven connection in reality, right? But there's this eons of knowledge for creatures born of magic and how they're supposed to handle it and use it responsibly so as not to destroy themselves and or everybody else, right? In our magic system, which I repeat just in case there are new people here, the mortal realm, primarily humans, were left here, and some high fae magical creatures decided that they needed to separate from humanity to work on their issues having more children because they were starting to be outnumbered. And they're like, you know what, we're gonna pull as much of the magic from the world as possible. We're gonna hoard it, and we're gonna see if that'll fix our problem. It did not fix their problem. It didn't. It made it worse. And there were cracks and bleed throughs and lots of magical creatures that were left behind, whose future children and grandchildren ended up living human lives despite maybe they were supposed to be something else. They were supposed to be more. They didn't have access to something that they needed. Now, there are little breakthrough places around the world where maybe, these creatures lived near or retreated to, and these cracks got bigger and bigger over time before the explosion that put the worlds back together. Anyways, moving on. So, I imagine that when this explosion happens, magic floods back into the world. There are a lot of creatures who'd been left behind and or their descendants, because I imagine not all of them got to keep their long life, what with not having access to the magic that they were supposed to be a part of. But their descendants are here, and this magic comes flooding back in, and some people who are descendants of creatures are part creature or full creature. I don't know. We haven't decided how that works. We'll figure it out. But they have all this magic flooding into their systems because they're originally supposed to be creatures born of part of the magic system. And they have absolutely no idea how to control it or what to do with it. I think of it along the lines of, like, you hear about, oh man, witches, witchcraft, this guy, like, they find out because, I don't know, maybe they're teenagers or preteens or whatever, and they go through their first like big emotional high and things fly off the walls, like poltergeist activity, but magic, right? I imagine poltergeist activity is probably its own type of magic. Doesn't matter, moving on. So my thought here, I imagine something of like an elemental fairy or fae and suddenly coming to her magic, but every whim or feeling or like idea that comes into her head just spills out of her in the form of like flowers and sunshine or stormy, cloudy, lightning, thunder skies. Not having that control and not having access to people who could teach her the control, she just kind of walks around this ball of chaos and destruction. See, this friend of mine, I kind of imagine if she turned into a fairy, would just be an explosive, like flowers and rain and sunshine everywhere she went all the time. Lots of wind, maybe a tornado or two. That's how I imagine it would go. And I think that with the two worlds coming back into each other and the general chaos and upset, the primary like goal of the Fae would not be to start training the new fairies and things like that were left behind. They're trying to figure out what to do now because now everybody knows everything and they're back, and there was lots of chaos and destruction and maybe lives lost, and now everyone's mad at them because they're like, you did this, what the hell is going on here? And so they're not out in the world finding these new magic users and being like, let's teach you how to control this so that you don't just walk around filling buildings with chaos. I imagine there's a lot of people just having to figure it out on the fly. And so I think this young lady here, she needs a name. I haven't decided what to name her. We did have a character name for this friend of mine, but I'm not going to use it because that's her name and I don't know if I should do that. She needs a name. Sunshine Chaos, kind of an elemental spirit type thing. And as of right now, she's just thrilled. She's thrilled. She's not like, oh no, what's happening? She's like, first off, look at these fabulous nails. Second, look at all the flowers. And I imagine she probably really loves that when she's upset, it's just like a rolling thunderstorm pouring off of her. I think that's something that she would really get a kick out of. And like stoic face, thunderstorm all around, right? And I don't think it's like she changes the weather system at large. I think it's just like her general environment around her because she doesn't know how to wield it or what to do with it. She's just kind of existing in it and she's fascinated by it. I think that leads to a lot of fun situations. I think she needs to have more going on in her private life other than just being a chaotic ball of sunshine and rain. But I'm not really sure what direction to take it because she reminds me so much of this person that I feel like adding any kind of story to it is wrong. I don't know why. Let's use this as a world building opportunity instead. So, if we go into this thinking this is like 10, 20 years after the world's collided back together, right? And in our current capitalist society, maybe there's just all of these grifters who are like out there, take my course, just $5,000 for 3 classes, and you'll have your magic under control, right? Like, also, imagine how ticked off like certain religious groups and people would be, especially if they were people who did not suddenly acquire magical abilities or like long lives or, you know, long-term youth or whatever, and they're just over here all salty and like, how do we ruin the lives of people who got what we want? But we have to pretend like it's not what we wanted. We have to pretend like it's the devil because of course it's the devil. It's evil. That's why it didn't happen to me because I don't know, I'm close with God and he didn't want me to be a devil. I don't know. That's what I imagine would happen. I imagine it would be. Have you guys seen The Leftovers? I imagine it would be like that. Like the world explodes, something crazy happens. Now there's all this like weird culty stuff happening. Like that. That's all I've got. I hope you enjoyed my video. I gave a little bit more, you know, random personal detail without giving too much personal detail, I think, than usual. But hey, you know, that's what this painting was, and I hope you like it. And I hope that I see you guys here again in the future. I tell more stories, and if you don't like listening to me talk this long, or about this much random stuff, or about this story building, you can just watch my shorts because I make shorts of each of these paintings with just like the little story synopsis that I kind of came up with. And sometimes there's even a little bit more to them because I've had a chance to think it through and like listen to and edit the long form video, this guy. But yeah, I'd love to see you here again, and I hope you check out more of my videos, and, you know, please comment more. I want to know what you guys think, and if you have story ideas, and what lore you're into. I've gotten requests for witches, and I've done a little bit on witches, but not much, and so that's coming soon. Look out for that. But I hope you guys have a good weekend. All right, bye everyone.